Welcome back to Shabbos Covenant Oneg, Parshas Toldos. The feedback has been wonderful so far across all the various social media platforms. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that you can see future postings. This week we find ourselves in Parshas Toldos. The Yaakov and Esav dynamic first appears as it is immediately seen in the most polarizing form. Yaakov spending his days and nights immersed in spirituality, with Esav acting out in every possible way, going so far as to even committing the three cardinal sins of murder, idolatry, and impropriety. The Medrash in Parshas tells us that he even committed all of these heinous acts in one single day. The very same day he despised the birthright and gave it away for a bowl of soup. Interestingly, the Das Zekanim on the pasuk about Esav's red complexion notes that when he was born, his father Yitzchak Avinu was concerned that he may have a blood deformity, and therefore refrained from giving him his bris milah on day 8. Once the 8th day was missed, and he realized it was simply Esav's complexion, Yitzchak opted to wait until the other date of significance for bris milah, 13 years old, as his half-brother Yishmael was when he had his circumcision. Once Esav was 13, Esav himself opted out completely and therefore never had a bris. This can definitely be used as a wonderful springboard for a discussion regarding Esav's unbridled nature, but alas, that's not the focus of this week. We're told by our teachers from a young age that his one redeeming quality was his unparalleled Kibbud of Va'im. This very quality was so perfect in its performance that it even led Yaakov to self-doubt at various stages of their interaction. Interestingly, as pointed out by Chazal on a variety of fronts, the Shvatim as well simply could not rival the honor and respect that Esav showed his father. The example given is, well, we find that Esav, the depraved murderer, held off on pursuing Yaakov for many years to avoid causing his father anguish over what may, by some accounts, have been even a justifiable act of revenge. The Shvatim nevertheless caused Yaakov tremendous sadness over the loss of Yosef. It really is fascinating to note that the positive light in which Chazal paint Esav's strict observance of this mitzvah is a rarity. It's truly a rarity to find us appreciating the one redeeming quality of such a Rasha. It's really an incredible thing to find someone like Esav, who is so committed to being self-indulgent and yet outperforms us with all his level of dedication to honoring his father. Kibbud Avayim in many ways is a parallel to our appreciation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we pause to appreciate that which our parents, grandparents have done for us, only then do we open up within ourselves a true metric of being able to appreciate the constant good that Hashem grants us. When we appreciate the tangible goodness from those who have biologically brought us to here today, only then can we truly move to the next level, that of appreciating God, who is not readily available for an Erev Shabbos phone call, a visit, but who is nevertheless always listening and attending to us. So by utilizing this aspect of connecting to our parents, grandparents, and those that we owe this true act of Hakar Satov, we're able to connect in a way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's not tangible. And that's sort of like the gateway. If you can't do it to one that's in front of you, it's much harder to do it to a being that you can't actively dialogue with. With that, I welcome a wonderful friend and mentor of mine of over a decade, Rabbi Kiva Eisenstadt, Rosh Kollel here in Manhattan Beach. Good Shabbos.
The topic, as Ramesh tells me, is Kibbud Avayim. I'd like to focus on a few points. The Rishonim and the Achronim emphasize two basic themes of Kibbud Avayim, of honoring our parents. One is that it's intellectually understood that one should honor their parents. Why? The Gemara in Kedushin that teaches us Kibbud Avayim, all the halachas, goes through the story of David ben Esina, who wasn't Jewish, but when the Kohanim came to him for a precious stone for the ephod, he said to them, my father's sleeping. He's sleeping on the key. It's under his pillow. I can't wake him up. And he didn't. And as a reward, the next year he got a paraduma, which he sold for a more phenomenal sum than he would have gotten for the jewel. It's understood to honor our parents. But what's the essence for a yid? What's the essence for a Jew? Why, according to Reb Shamshon Fala Hirsch, is Kibbud Avayim one of the Aseres Adibros, if it's such an understandable halacha? So the Sefer HaChinuch identifies this as the obligation of Hakar Satov. Yes, there's a mental understanding, intellectual recognition of the good that others have done for us, but also we have a sense of obligation. There's a mitzvah to honor our parents. There's a mitzvah to respect our parents, to be in awe of them. And all the halachas that go along with it, not sitting in their seat, standing up when they come into the room, helping them in any fashion and mean to honor them and respect them and to be in awe of them, that it's part of the mitzvah of the Aseres Adibros, a main mitzvah there. Furthermore, the concept of Masorah, this second philosophical idea, that there's a chain of tradition, there's a link from parent to child, from child to grandfather, all the way back to Har Sinai. So much so that without it, we wouldn't have the tradition that we have it until today, obligates us in the mitzvah of Kibbud Av Ve'em. And so we have two separate parts of this mitzvah. We have gratitude, which is reminiscent of our mitzvah to honor them, to make sure we could feed them and give them to drink and take care of their physical needs. That's honoring them. And the mitzvah to fear them or to be in awe of them requires that we stand up. Two different mitzvahs. There's the idea of Mesara and there's the idea of gratitude, of Hakaras HaTov. So there's a very interesting medrash which is in the Medrash HaGadol on the very first pasuk in Sefer Shemais. The pasuk says, "Ve'elu Shemais b'nei Yisrael habayim Mitzrayim es Yaakov ishu beis Bayo." These are the names of the children of Klal Yisrael that came down to Mitzrayim. Es Yaakov. Unkla says im Yaakov, with Yaakov. Ishu beis Bayo. Why does it say im Yaakov? Just say these are the families. These are the names. They came to Mitzrayim. Why put Yaakov's name like in the middle of the pasuk? So the Medrash answers that Yaakov was put there because even though each one of these families, each one of these people had families, had children, had obligations, they still spent time with Yaakov. They still took care of Yaakov even in his elderly years, even when he was old. Powerful Medrash. The Medrash is obviously echoing the idea of Kibbud Av Ve'em during a very difficult time. Now recently, there were studies done during COVID that loneliness is a very dangerous thing. People that are stuck at home, elderly people, young people, any person stuck at home for an extended period of time has a greater threat to their health. Obviously, people that are elderly who live alone are subject to this. They did go through a very lonely time during COVID. They were alone. They didn't want to go out. It was difficult for them. A child should do everything possible to make sure they could visit their parents and to make sure their health is being taken care of. This is one of the greatest mitzvahs of Kibbud Av Ve'em. AE Design Group, a firm led by my wonderful wife for over 10 years, personifies a mitzvah of making sure that the elderly patients in a nursing home are being taken care of. And the idea of loneliness is something that's very important, so much so that the company pivoted during the beginning of Corona, and under the advice of a wonderful friend, designed something called the PlexiPod, which is giving the ability of outside people to come in without the risk of infecting the patient, so that they don't have to be alone. Again, I'm not trying to sell it. It happens to be a wonderful product, but this PlexiPod was built for that idea, to make sure that outside people could come in and visit their parent through a pod, through a wall. They could see them, they could hear them, and they could pay attention to them. They could honor them. Children, grandchildren, friends, they could come in. And throughout AE Design Group's existence, whenever my wife comes home from a site visit from a nursing home, from a assisted living, which her company focuses on healthcare, she always makes sure to have the best possible layout for each resident, to make sure they could see properly when they're lying down, while they're riding around in a wheelchair, while they're doing rehab, to make sure they're comfortable, to make sure they're doing well. That's a tremendous focus of AE Design Group. Now, we don't only do healthcare, we also do commercial work. And recently we completed one of our proudest projects, which is the new art school building in Rahway, New Jersey. I wasn't there, but I was told that they came and asked Avigal and her team to design something that echoes the past, echoes the classiness, the traditions of the last 40 years that art school has been in existence, inspiring, educating, giving over Torah to Klal Yisrael, a chain of tradition, a Masorah, and merging it, infusing it with the future. And Baruch Hashem, you can see some of the pictures online. The design was that exactly, with the Siyata Dishmaya, no question. One thing that Avigal and her team put in was a beautiful Haskara for Rav Meir Zlotowitz, a Zechrona Livracha wall dedicated to his unbelievable memory. And another thing was they put in a wall of glass windows so that the art school artifacts from the beginning, different typewriters, different first editions, could be displayed in the lobby. But that's the idea that AE Design Group echoes. It echoes the idea of tradition, it echoes the idea of caring, of concern. And I see it as a third party. I see it looking into the company. They care. They love to make sure that everyone's comfortable. They love to make sure that the family's doing well. and love to make sure that everyone's happy with the design that they put out. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I wish everybody a good Shabbos. And Amitz Hashem, we shall all be zecher to see the Gula Kraiva.
השמיים וייתן לך